Hello, everybody. This is Todd Nilson, one of the organizers for the Catalyzing the Future event. We're so glad that you're able to tune in on this, either live or on the replay. We are just days away from the actual event. September 30th is the Catalyzing the Future event. This is a free global digital event. You can log in virtually to the live streams here on YouTube or on Facebook, depending on where you're finding us. And the idea behind the conference is to bring together voices and ideas from across disciplines, across the world, to talk about better ways to create viable, sustainable futures for us all. As part of those conversations that we're having, that ecosystem of conversations, we're doing spotlight visits, interviews with some of the smart people who are going to be involved with that day. And among those, I'm really honored and excited to have with me today Andrea Ruotolo, Dr. Andrea Ruotolo. She is here to talk a little bit about business, innovation, and entrepreneurship. And I'm going to welcome her into the stream right now. Welcome, Andrea. Good to see you.
Thank you, Todd. Thank you for having me here.
Yeah. So Andrea, I know before this particular broadcast, you and I had talked a little bit about, you wanted to talk about innovation a little bit and sort of how we get to sustainable futures faster and right away, which is something close to my heart. You know, certainly I do a lot of work with local entrepreneurship, and I'm interested in knowing what kind of work you do and how you're trying to catalyze the future.
Excellent. Well, thank you for that question. I focus right now specifically on the energy space and building distributed energy systems to adapt to new climate conditions. And what I discovered, I'm an entrepreneur by nature, but now I'm doing intrapreneurship within a large organization. And some of the data points that really stood out for me and made me for years look into how are we going to innovate faster were that 90% of startups fail and 70% or more of corporate innovation efforts fail to achieve desired results. So that really concerned me. How are we going to get to that thriving future if we don't increase the probability of success? And I am a big believer that intrapreneurship brings together the best of both worlds and can be far more effective, especially in heavily regulated space like the energy sector. I don't know if you heard this term before, probably you did, but others out there, if you haven't heard, intrapreneurship is being an entrepreneur within a large organization. So bringing innovation with that entrepreneurial energy. So intrapreneurship gives that aligned incentive and creative freedom to experiment from entrepreneurship, but combined with the security and stability of the corporate world, the corporate jobs. Right? So I find the key is to set up for that success, right? To increase the abilities of corporations to be successful in innovation and of entrepreneurs to also be successful is to set up the right alignment of incentives and the right life structures to keep things safe and mitigate the downside risk while also encouraging thinking outside the box.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but that's a really interesting insight that you had there. So the ability to create an environment that's conducive to entrepreneurship, that's really hard, because I know I've worked with some large enterprise organizations, and they need to have sort of that cultural mindset to begin with before any kind of entrepreneurial effort could be successful. Maybe you could share a little bit about your experiences with sort of that corporate readiness and change. Any personal experiences with that?
Right. Well, there's a lot of room for growth. Luckily, we have some leaders that do understand and encourage people like me to create that change, right? So change honestly needs to come from the top. because those environments need to be created. And it takes some time, right? Because it's also about cultural change. And so I found that the most important aspect is how we care for and motivate our people. And that is a very important, unique ability that intrapreneurs need to bring. Caring for people, understanding them, and helping them reach higher levels of performance by breaking down old mental models that just don't serve them individually and don't serve collectively. So in my role, I work on the hard sciences, but also on the soft sciences. I had gone through coaching myself and learning how to coach others so that I can create that safe space where people can communicate and can express where are they at, how are they thinking about problems, right? And be able to actually express all of themselves without being judged or being concerned about any negative impact that opening up and saying what they actually think might cause. It's quite the opposite. It's creating that psychological safety space where people can be themselves. And so from that information, then we can better help them and support them.
So creating the right conditions involves then, if I could paraphrase, getting the right executives lined up to support the effort.
Yes.
And then helping the individuals who are in the organization to maybe make that change in mindset or attitude, clearing away some of the roadblocks to innovation that maybe we all carry with us to an extent. Is that accurate?
Thank you. I really love the way you put it.
Oh, I love the way you put it. So, now let me ask you this. So, what part does anti-fragility have to play in this? Because I wonder, I've seen this with organizations where they'll commit to a course of innovation, but then as soon as things start to get rough, as soon as coronavirus hits, as soon as the fire breaks out in California, whatever the disaster happens to be or the outside force happens to be that's stressing the organization, that innovation effort then suddenly dries up. We don't have time for that now. We have to put that aside.
Absolutely.
How do you address something like that?
Well, during the good times, it's really important to create that human network, right? I focus on the smart grid and building distributed energy systems that will connect with one another. That's the technological aspect of it. But the most important aspect behind any technology is the network of people, right, that make things happen. So during the good times, it's really important to create those links and connections to make sure that we will go through rough times. Right? We are committed to making something work, and there's a level of trust and commitment that everyone will put what it takes to go through those rough times. But that's a nice to have, right? Or it sounds easier to say it than to do it, but I believe it's really easy to do it when the individuals that are working together really understand one another. They understand each other's strengths, each other's weaknesses, right? So there are no surprises in the future. So when something is not working out the way that was expected, right, the system can reorganize fast and solve that problem. But when you haven't created that network of humans that understand one another with their strengths and weaknesses, then when something doesn't go right and you cannot quickly resolve it, then I think corporations lose confidence in that entrepreneurial team.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So for someone who's in a large organization and they want to become an intrapreneur, it sounds like something I want to do. They're not sure how to get started. What's something that you would maybe give them as a piece of advice to go forward?
Right. So to be a successful intrapreneur, you need to have a strong why. Why are you doing what you're doing? Mm-hmm. It's not about a nice title. It needs to be about a mission that you are pursuing, which is well beyond a job. It's something that you want to do, and you're going to make happen whatever it takes. I believe those are the type of intrapreneurs that we need. So understanding who you are with everything, the things that you're really good at, the things you're really not good at, it's critical, right? So knowing yourself first, and knowing why you're doing what you're doing, and then making sure that you work in finding the right team members and creating that psychological safety where you are operating all as one ecosystem. And in one ecosystem, you need everything, right? You need the trees, the lions, you need the elephants, you need all these different personality types that come together, but having that deep understanding of one another, and the leader needs to have a deep understanding of oneself. And when I say the leader, I believe in distributed leadership, because every single one in the ecosystem is important. But the person that it's basically having that initial spark in the team needs to work the hardest in mastering oneself to actually help in creating that environment.
That's wonderful. And I do truly appreciate that insight about, understanding yourself and why you want to engage in that work. Beyond sort of the easy answer is, well, I want to make a lot of money, or I want to get a promotion. That's not a why, right?
As soon as you make a lot of money, then the whole thing is gone, right? How can your team believe that you will be there for them or trust you? No. It should be something more meaningful.
Yeah, it's something that connects to yourself and something that you care about. Otherwise, it's going to fall flat. You're not going to be able to really convince people that it's important at all.
Right, and that you will be there in the long run, which that's important. They need to know that you're going to be part of that solution and make it be real, because at the end of the day, people will, and I don't like the word follow, but people will be there with you for that mission if they believe you're there for the mission, right?
I love that, yes.
So if you expect your entrepreneurial team to bring the best of themselves, you need to bring the best of yourself first.
I think that's wonderful. That's a wonderful insight for us to wrap up on. Andrea, thank you so much for being with us today and sharing some of your ideas about business and innovation. And now you're going to be a panelist on one of the September 30th event panels. Is that one, Business and Humanity? Is that one of the ones? Yes.
I'm really excited about being part of that panel, and I hope there's going to be a lot of challenging questions and people bringing diversity of thinking. It's going to be fantastic. I can already see it.
Well, I think with you there, we're sure to have a rich and engaging conversation. Andrea, thank you so much for joining me, and look forward to seeing you on the 30th. And for those of you in our audience, we're catching this live or on the replay. The Catalyzing the Future event is going to be next Wednesday, September the 30th, coming up really fast. It will be live streamed, so anybody can join in to see and participate in the event. However, we do encourage you to register so you can get the latest information and hear about other awesome interviews like the one we're doing today by going to catalyzingthefuture.com. So with that, I will leave it there. Andrea, I'll see you next Wednesday.
See you next Wednesday. Thank you, Todd, and thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.